Ancient oaks embrace the wood, the castle breathed in silver light, and swallows vanish through the night. Your fingers trembled in my own like frightened birds too long alone. You spoke my name so soft, so low, as if the stars should never know. The river carried winter rain, a quiet hymn of love and pain, while distant bells from towers high melted slowly through the sky. You wore a cloak of faded blue, still scented faintly of the dew, and in your eyes the candles burned, with every secret left unlearned. Will you remain? I asked the air, though sorrow already lingered there. For hearts can feel the coming storm before the night itself grows torn. A raven crossed the moonlit haze, black wings cutting through the glaze of silver clouds and sleeping stone, leaving us beneath alone. Then silence wrapped around your breath, a velvet thread, a quiet death. You kissed my hands with trembling grace, like someone bound to leave this place. No armies marched, no kingdoms fell, no great catastrophe to tell. Just two souls beneath the skies, watching love become goodbye. The lantern near the garden gate burned against the claws of fate, its fragile flame bent in the breeze like prayers lost among the trees. You turned before the dawn could rise, mist already in your eyes, and every step you took away pulled the warmth from break of day. Now winter lives inside these halls, in empty rooms and hollow walls. Yet sometimes when the midnight blooms, your whisper wanders through the rooms. And though the years may flood the sea, some part of you remains with me beneath the ivy, pale and bright, still dancing softly through the night. The roses died before the snow, as if the earth itself did know that love can fade like autumn flame, and never quite return the same. The garden walls were draped in rain, the stone paths whispered of your name, each crimson petal at my feet felt like a promise incomplete. You came to me in early spring, with silver bells and songs to sing. Your laughter danced through orchard trees, fragile bloom decayed each day, until the garden, once so bright, became a grave beneath moonlight. Still every dawn I walked alone, past ivy roots and weathered stone. I trimmed the thorns with careful hands, like one obeying old commands. The villagers would softly speak of distant armies growing weak, of fallen kings and burning fields, of shattered swords and broken shields. But none could tell me where you slept, or if your weary spirit kept a single ember left for me beyond the frozen northern sea. Now seasons pass like funeral hymns, the candlelight forever dimmed. Yet still I guard this broken place, still dream about your vanished face. For love, though bruised by time and war, leaves ghosts within the heart's old door. And every rose that blooms in spring still waits for you, my absent king. The minstrels sing in empty halls, their voices drift through ancient walls. Your throne remains beside the fire, a ghost of ash and lost desire. I poured red wine for two tonight, though only shadows stayed inside. The candle bent the window side, as winter pressed the world outside. The servants whisper as they pass, like echoes trapped within the glass. No laughter dances through these rooms, only silence dressed in gloom. I still recall your weary eyes, they storm beneath the golden skies. The way your fingers held my hand, as if time would never end. If fate has chained you far from me, beyond the cliffs and northern sea, then every prayer these lips have known will guide you gently back toward home. And every candle that I light still burns for you against the night. Though kingdoms fall and seasons die, my heart refuses its goodbye. The armor hangs untouched in dust, the silver dark and red with rust. Your cloak still rests beside the bed, like some soft ghost among the dead. beside the towers, drown in rain. The bells repeat their mournful strain, and somewhere through the storming dark, I swear I feel your fading spark. The chapel keeper spoke your name beside a dying bed of flame. He said the war consumed the plains with smoke and blood and iron chains, but still no messenger has come, no rider's horn, no distant drum, only ravens circling slow above the fields buried in snow. If fate has chained you far from me, beyond the cliffs and northern sea, then every prayer these lips have known will guide you gently back toward home. And every candle that I light still burns for you against the night. Though kingdoms fall and seasons die, my heart refuses its goodbye. We dance beneath the market glow, where wandering fiddlers played so slow. Your laughter bloomed like summer wheat, barefoot rhythms on cobbled streets. The lanterns swayed in amber light, soft as prayers beneath the night. Perfume of wine and cedar smoke curled around the words you spoke. Your velvet gloves brushed against mine, a touch like sacramental wine. And every bell above the square seemed to tremble through the air. Yet sorrow hid behind your eyes, a storm concealed by lullabies. Even while the minstrels played, part of you was slipping away. You spoke of leaving with the dawn before the final stars were gone, and suddenly the dancing hall felt like the ending of it all. So I memorized your perfume there, of cedar wood and evening air, for hearts that know they cannot stay, love the hardest anyway. The old cathedral watched in stone, like ancient kings upon their thrones. Its shadow stretched across the square, while cold wind tangled through your hair. You smiled, although your hand still shook, like someone standing at the brook, between the life they used to know and roads they never wished to go. Fiddler played a slower hymn, the lantern flames grew faint and dim, and somewhere far beyond the walls a lonely midnight raven called. You pulled me close without a word, closer than the music heard. heard your heartbeat tremble through your chest, like wings refusing yet to rest. I wish this night could always stay. Your voice almost dissolved away, but dawn already stained the sky with colors meant for long goodbyes. You spoke of leaving with the dawn before the final stars were gone, and suddenly the dancing hall felt like the ending of it all. So I memorized your perfume there of cedar wood and evening air, for hearts that know they cannot stay love the hardest anyway. Now every winter festival returns me to that ancient hall. I hear the fiddlers playing low, like distant ghosts beneath the snow. And though the years have buried deep the vows we could not fully keep, somewhere beneath the moonlit stone, your shadow still is dancing home. She walked beside the river reeds with silver rings and tangled beads, a falcon sleeping on her glove, a quiet queen unfit for love. The morning fog embraced the lake, the willow branches bent and swayed. She moved like some forgotten hymn, the world had almost buried dim. Her dark green cloak brushed through the frost, like summer wandering briefly lost. And every villager nearby would lower softly both their eyes. I gave her poems bound into wine, pressed flowers, winterberry wine, but all she offered in return was silence sharp enough to burn. I was not made for peaceful things. My fate belongs to iron kings. Yet when she spoke her guarded tone still carried sorrow of its own. One kiss beneath the abbey stairs, one fleeting breath, one borrowed prayer. The candle trembled in the rain as if it feared our love the same. Then horses thundered through the night, torches bleeding golden light, and all the warmth we could have known vanished before the dawn had grown. The falcon cried against the sky, its lonely circle drifting high. She held the leather to her chest like something wild denied its rest. I begged the stars to grant us time, one final hour untouched by time, but fate had the vows we never made. The soldiers waited near the gate, their armor soaked with storm and fate, and every hoofbeat on the stone sounded colder than the snow. You touched my face with shaking hands, like waves retreating from the sands. No promises escaped your lips, only sorrow in eclipse. Then slowly from your silver chain you placed a feather in my hand. A part of me will still remain wherever winter floods this land. The abbey bells began to cry, low and hollow through the sky, and somewhere in the deep black trees the wind collapsed onto its knees. One kiss beneath the abbey stairs, one fleeting breath, one borrowed prayer. The candle trembled in the rain as if it feared our love the same. Your name still clings to ruined stone, like ivy roots to kingdoms gone. The choir hums their mournful hymn, while candlelight grows faint and thin. The chapel garden sleeps in gray, where winter slowly eats the day. The roses bow beneath the frost, like grieving souls forever lost. I walk alone through shattered gates, past silent saints and broken face. The air still carries traces weak of words we were too scared to speak. I swore I heard you in the breeze, between the dark cypress trees. A fragile voice, a distant spark, a robin singing through the dark. And every shadow near the flame still somehow trembles with your name. If grief is but a pilgrim road, then mine is lined with heavy gold. For every tear the heavens keep returns to haunt me in my sleep. And though the bells no longer ring, my heart still waits for vanished springs. Among the ashes cold and pale, I search for you beyond the veil. The old priest speaks in quiet tones, his weary hands upon the stones. He says the dead are never far, they linger where the loved ones are. But nights grow longer in these halls, where moonlight stains the chapel walls. And sometimes through the winter rain I hear your footsteps once again. The candles flicker one by one, like dying stars before the sun. Their smoke ascends the darkened dome, like souls still searching for a home. I kept your ribbon tied in lace, still scented faintly of your grace. And every letter left unread sleeps beside my weary bed. No armies came to steal your breath, no blade, no plague, no glorious death. You simply faded with the cold, too young to vanish, too soft to hold. The snowfall wrapped the earth in white, a kingdom buried overnight. And all the prayers I gave the sky could not persuade your soul to stay alive. If grief is but a pilgrim road, then mine is lined with heavy gold. For every tear the heavens keep returns to haunt me in my sleep. And though the bells no longer ring, my heart still waits for vanished springs. Among the ashes cold and pale, I search for you beyond the veil. Now ivy climbs the chapel walls, while dust descends through empty halls. The choir's hymn has long since died, yet still I feel you by my side. And when the final winter comes to still the earth and silence drums, then let my weary soul depart to find you past the darkened stars. The snow fell slow on ancient stone. The northern winds began to moan. A lonely fire beside the wall still flickered through the empty hall. You wore a dress of faded gray, like winter stealing light away. Your silver pendant softly shone against the skin I used to know. The minstrels played a weary tune beneath the cold December moon, and every step across the floor felt heavier than the one before. Your trembling hands held on to mine, like ivy clinging through the night. Yet in your eyes there burned farewell, a sorrow words could never tell. So dance with me before you go, before the world is buried in snow, before the candles lose their flame and silence swallows up my name. One final waltz beneath the pines, one fleeting hour against all time, for hearts that break beneath the frosted lake, for everything they lost. Outside the horses stamp the ground, their distant chains a mournful sound. The dawn was waiting, pale and thin, beyond the fog upon the wind. You spoke of roads you could not flee, of duty carved too deep to leave. And though your voice remained composed, your tears betrayed the words you chose. The fireplace sighed in waves of gold, while shadows danced across the walls. And somewhere in the darkened night, a raven vanished out of sight. winter river banks. So you remember me somehow, when all of this is ashes now. You pulled me close against your chest like someone begging time for rest, then whispered low against my ear, the cruelest love is still sincere. The bells began their hollow cry, a funeral hymn beneath the sky, and every note they carried far felt colder than the frozen stars. So dance with me before you go, before the world is buried in snow, before the candles lose their flame and silence swallows up my name. One final waltz beneath the pines, one fleeting hour against all time, for hearts that break beneath the frost still ache for everything they lost. Castle halls and ivy climbs the shattered walls, yet when the winter moon hangs low, I still recall that final snow. And sometimes through the northern breeze, beyond the dark cathedral trees, I hear faint footsteps, soft and slow, still dancing where the pines once glowed. Her melodies could soften steel or make the oldest soldier kneel. Each trembling chord became a scar for hearts that loved from lands afar. Blackwater Hall stood cold and wide beside the cliffs and wintertide. Its towers vanished in the rain like memories dissolving faint. The nobles gathered dressed in black, their velvet cloaks like raven backs, yet silence ruled the candle glow before her fingers touched the bow. She wore no jewels upon her skin, no golden crown, no silver rings, only a simple mourning veil, as pale as moonlight turned to hail. Then slowly through the shadowed room, her heart began its fragile bloom, a sound so full of grief and grace, it stole the breathing from the place. And every soul beside the fire seemed caught within its aching choir. She played as though the moon itself had hidden sorrow on its shelf. Each note descended soft and deep, like promises to her to keep. And somewhere in the storm outside, the sea began to howl and cry, while broken hearts beneath the hall still answered to her lonely call. I watched her from candle rose, wrapped in mourning velvet clothes. Her silver hair fell loose and long, like winter trapped inside a song. The old king lowered weary eyes, as if remembering old goodbyes. And even soldiers scarred by war looked suddenly afraid once more. She never spoke between the tunes, only glanced toward the moon, like someone waiting for a ghost. No prayer or bell could guide back home. The fire dimmed with every verse. The hall itself seemed almost cursed, yet no one dared to leave their chair while sorrow lingered in the air. And one cold night her music ceased, the endless echoes fell asleep. No final bow, no last farewell, only silence through the hall. The servants searched the empty rooms, the chapel yard, the garden blooms, but all they found beside the sea was her black veil beneath the tree. Some claimed the waves had called her name, others whispered grief and shame, yet none could truly explain why the harp still sang on storm-filled night. She played as though the moon itself had hidden sorrow on its shelf. Each note descended soft and deep, like promises to her to keep. And somewhere in the storm outside, the sea began to howl and cry, while broken hearts beneath the hall still answered to her lonely call. Now Blackwater Hall remains alone, its faded banners overgrown. But when the winter thunder starts, her melody returns to haunt. And through the rain the old cliffs sweep, while restless tides disturb their sleep. For somewhere in the endless dark still trembles her forgotten heart. The snow had crowned the orchard white, like shattered pearls beneath the night. You stood beside the frozen lake, a dream too fragile not to break. The branches bowed beneath the frost, like grieving hands for something lost. The wind moved softly through the pines, carrying echoes lost in time. Your pale blue cloak brushed through the snow, a fading flame against the cold. And in your eyes the northern sky skies held storms too deep to recognize. We wandered through the sleeping trees, past silent stone and frozen streams. No footsteps followed where we roamed, as though the world had left us alone. You spoke of futures never born, of crimson sunsets, golden corn, a cottage far beyond the war, beside some distant quiet shore. But even then, beneath your smile, there lived a grief you could not hide. Still every winter I return, where lanterns in the branches burn, and there beneath the silver skies your memory never truly dies. Though destiny with cruel hands scattered us like desert sands, my heart still wanders Avalon, searching for what time has stolen. The old church bells rang faint and low, like voices buried deep below. And somewhere far beyond the hills, the drums of war were beating still. You touched the surface of the lake, watching brittle ice lines break, then whispered softly to the night, some loves are never meant to survive. The snowfall gathered in your hair, tiny stars dissolving there, and for a moment time stood still against the cold of Avalon's hills. The dawn arrived too pale too soon, a dying ghost beneath the moon. The riders waited near the gate, their armor heavy black with fate. You held me close without a sound, while winter winds curled all around. No promises escaped your lips, only sorrow at your fingertips. Then slowly from your neck you drew a silver chain I once had knew. Keep this when all the fires fade, when memory itself decays. The horses cried against the snow, impatient shadows below, and every second pulling past felt sharper than a shard of glass. Still every winter I return, where lanterns in the branches burn, and there beneath the silver skies your memory never truly dies. Though destiny with cruel hands scattered us like desert sands, my heart still wanders Avalon, searching for what time has stolen. Now years have buried crown and throne, the orchard stands in silence grown. Yet when the northern stars appear, I still can feel your presence near. And somewhere past the frozen tide, beyond where fallen kingdoms lie, I dream your soul still walks the snow, through endless fields of Avalon. The final lantern softly swayed as all the tavern music faded. The storm outside consumed the sky, while embers breathed their last goodbye. You sat beside the wooden flame, tracing circles through the rain that gathered slowly on the glass, like memories refusing to pass. Your dark red cloak fell to the floor, travel worn from distant shores. And though you smiled across the light, your weary eyes betrayed the night. The fiddler played a fragile tune, thin as smoke beneath the moon. Each trembling note drifted apart, like splinters from a broken heart. You held my face between your palms, like sacred words or healing psalms. And for a moment all the cold could not invade the warmth we held. But somewhere underneath your breath lived the quiet fear of what comes next. Outside the world was drowned in storm, but near your heart the night felt warm, until the bells began to ring and duty stole away the spring. Now every road I wander through feels stitched with fragments left by you. Yet love, like fire in ancient stone, can glow forever once it's known. Tavern keeper dimmed the lights, the hour growing thin as ice. Only shadows cross the beams, like ghosts wandering through dreams. You spoke of cities wrapped in war, burning banners on the shore, of kings who traded youth for pride, while nameless soldiers disappeared. I wanted time to lose its way, to trap us in that room always, where candles smoke and winter wine could freeze the hands of cruel time. But dawn already stained the snow with pale blue sorrow far below, and every gust against the door sounded louder than before. You reached beneath your weathered cloak and gave to me a tiny token, a silver lantern carved by hand, blackened slightly by the sand. So when the nights become too long and every fire you knew is gone, hold this close beside your chest and think of all we never said. The church bells cried across the town, their hollow echoes falling down, and in the silence afterward, even breathing somehow heard. Outside the world was drowned in storm, but near your heart the night felt warm, until the bells began to ring and duty stole away the spring. Now every road I wander through feels stitched with fragments left by you. Yet love, like fire in ancient stone, can glow forever once it's known. The lantern still beside me burns through every winter beside my